Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. The CEO should congratulate you for doing that, OP. If the rules don't apply to them, why should they apply to anyone else? I mean, I can say I'm the CEO too, and a new worker won't know any better. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss a new video every single day. No pass, no entry. This happened quite a few years ago. I started a new job in IT support. After a couple of weeks training and orientation, I was put on my first early shift. IT support were always the first in the building to make sure all the systems were good before the working day started. So I was given my own key to the front door to unlock the building. The entrance had a kind of airlock system. The outer door was unlocked, but there was another automatic door that needed a swipe card to open it. Everything was fine for the first few days. Entered the building, got on with work. Then this particular morning, as I unlocked the door, the head of HR walked up behind me. I recognized him as he had sat in on my job interview. I said good morning, swiped my card, and walked in. He followed me. As soon as we were in the building, he pulled me up and told me I shouldn't have let him in without him swiping his pass. His argument was that he might have been fired the day before, so might have been trespassing. The swipe card system was not used to monitor people's work hours or anything like that. I apologized profusely, and he said he'd let it go this time as I was new. Fast forward 2 weeks. I'm unlocking the door, and a complete stranger walks up behind me and tried to follow me in. I turn around and ask him to use his pass. He says he's forgotten it. I say, then I can't let you in. Then he drops the bombshell. But I'm the CEO. I apologize and say sorry, I only have your word for that, and I'm under strict instructions from the head of HR not to let anybody in without a pass on pain of disciplinary action. He got quite angry and said again he was the CEO. I apologized again, but left him in the airlock with a face like thunder and heard him shout something like, "I'll have your job for this," as I walked away. Later that day, I got a phone call from the head of HR. I thought he was going to bullock me, but instead, he said I did the right thing and he was going to get the CEO to apologize to me. I did get a short email from the CEO to that effect later in the day. Wow, a head of HR with a backbone. Makes a nice change. And our second story. Sure, I'd love to talk to a manager. Background. Around a year ago, I was at a Home Depot picking up some emergency extra supplies for a contractor job. At the time, I was wearing solid gray coveralls that were covered in bits of floor and some rather pungent slime from the job, cowboy boots, and a blue welder's cap, holding a basket of smaller items that I needed. Not even close to the orange aprons or vests and steel-toed boots required of the store. Over the course of the hour I was in there, I had several people approach me asking for help with various things. Most realized that I didn't work there fairly quickly and were more than happy to apologize and be on their way. But one demented woman couldn't seem to get it through her thick skull. Let's call her E. Entitled. Let's set the stage. There I am wandering around searching for a certain type of paint for the job, looking and smelling like I just crawled out of a dumpster. Clearly not a Home Depot employee. Enter E. E approaches, undeterred by my aroma and hell-bent on either finding her paint or getting someone fired. E, you there, quit messing around, I need help. Me, sorry ma'am, but I don't work here. E, shut up, I'm looking for stain-resistant paint. You need to find some for me, and you need to help me load it into my cart. Me, ma'am, I can't help you, I don't work. E, I said help me. If you don't help me find my paint, I'm reporting you to the manager. Me, go right ahead, ma'am. Not sure what a manager can do since I don't work here. E, I'll have your job, you lazy entitled crap. Come with me. Me, if you insist, let's go then. So off to find a manager we go. At one point during our quest, I happened to see the variety of paint I was looking for in the first place, so I diverged off course to grab it, hoping that seeing me physically shopping would make this crazy woman realize that I did not, in fact, work for the store. Boy, was I wrong. E, seeing me turn down an aisle for the product I was after, what are you doing? That isn't what I asked you to find. Me, you're right, it's what I came in here to find because I don't work here. E, quit lying to me. You're just saying that so you don't have to do anything. At this point, one of the actual Home Depot employees wandered up the aisle, finding E and myself in a heated verbal battle about whether I actually worked there or not. Enter H, my personal hero that day. Me, gesturing at H, "Ma'am, do you see that gentleman over there?" E, confused and more than a little pissed off still. "Yes, why? What's your point?" Me, "Do you see what he's wearing? The orange apron with his name written all neat on the front?" E, "Yes, now what's your point?" Me, "Do me and him look anything alike?" E, "No." Me, "Exactly. So on that note, I'd love to speak to a manager. Shall we go find one?" H, bemused, "Can I help you ladies find anything today?" Me, "Oh, thanks, sir, but I believe this woman needs some assistance." H, "Of course, ma'am. Would you still like to speak to a manager?" E, "No, never mind. Can you guide me to the stain-resistant paint?" H, "Ma'am, that altercation sounded pretty serious. I think you should go speak to a manager anyway. Follow me." E, "Okay." At that point, I excused myself and started to head to the checkout with my items. As I made my way to the front of the store, I found myself wondering how people like her were capable of breathing and walking at the same time, as well as praying that she never reproduced. Some people have a lot of nerve. Even if you were an employee, that was no way to treat you. She was rude and deserved to be shut down much worse. And our next story. $250 Mercedes 190E. So this happened a few years ago, so unfortunately no longer have the text messages to support, but trust me, this is legit. My boyfriend and I broke up after finding out he cheated. He lived in my house, so I kicked him out, was very nice and basically letting him remove his belongings from my house at his convenience. He would come randomly for clothes and such, basically using me as a storage unit until he found a place to live, for several months until everything was gone, except his 1990 Mercedes 190E. The starter had gone bad in it, so it wouldn't start, but this was his dream baby, so it was in great shape otherwise. He had it repainted, all the wood interior replaced, leather seats conditioned, etc. Well, apparently the police were out and had marked the tires because it had been sitting in front of my house without moving for months. This resulted in a $90 fine. I called my ex explaining the fine and asked what he wanted to do because it was going to be impounded otherwise. He basically seemed to lack interest because he'd begun dating someone and living with them in a city 50 miles away, and it didn't start, and he didn't have time to deal with it. Later found out this was because his new boyfriend bought him a brand new Audi. So I asked if he just wants it to be impounded or what. He says no, try to sell it on Craigslist. It's old but in great shape and only has 64,000 miles on it. Just needs a new starter. I'm being super nice and just should have shut it down and let it be impounded, but he goes on to say, sell it for whatever you want. Money's yours. I owe you for the crap I did. Oh, I want this car gone, and it's the last tie holding me to him, so great. Sorry for such a long backstory, but I felt it was necessary for the story. I put the car on Craigslist with pics and all the info explaining it would need to be towed as it needed a new starter, fairly cheap repair, asking price $250. I get a call an hour later asking for more info, if they could come look at it, etc. Sure, no problem. Guy comes with a friend, does a walk around of the car, talks to a friend, and comes back to me and says, well, my buddy's a mechanic, that's why I brought him, and we both think that since we can't test drive it, to be sure nothing else is wrong, the best I can do is $100. Now, mind you, as I said, this was my ex's baby. He took care of this. One tire on this car is worth more than $100. I said $250 is well below Kelley Blue Book value for the condition and mileage. I just want it gone, but not for $100. He sighs and says, let me run to the ATM, but to hold the car and remove my CL ad. Almost 3 hours later, he texts saying he can only do $250 if I pay the towing fee. He lived nearly 25 miles away. I declined. I dumbly removed the ad from CL like he asked, but luckily others had emailed, so I ended up selling it later that night to a guy who was in love with that type of car. Even though I asked $250, he said he didn't feel right paying so little and ended up giving me $500. I'm sure I could have gotten way more, but as I said, I wanted it and my ties to my ex gone. What a moron. He's seriously trying to lowball on a car like that at that price? People are so incredibly stupid. Good riddance. Glad you got more for it. And our last story. Came back from deployment, and now my HOA wants $37,600. So apparently 3 months into my 9-month deployment, someone dumped a boat and trailer in my front yard. So for the past 188 days, my HOA has been charging me $100 a day for the boat and $100 a day for the trailer it was sitting on. I spent a day hauling the boat to the landfill and the trailer to the metal recyclers trying to do right. I've explained the situation to the HOA and they won't drop it. Mind you, I've lived here for 3 years and have never had a problem with my HOA or any of my neighbors. The entire time I was gone, I was paying HOA dues and a landscaping company to take care of my house. I didn't know about this until I came home. The HOA's threatening to take me to court and put a lien against my house if I don't pay them the full $37,600, which I don't have. Update. To answer some questions, they notified me through the mail and by leaving citations on my doorstep. All of my mail was being held at my local post office. The boat that was left had no license plate on the trailer, and the boat had at some point been painted with some really thick paint. There was no registration number. I didn't bother to look for a serial number. It was upside down on the trailer, so likely it was a project someone lost interest in. No, I did not have anyone checking in on my house. I don't have friends or family, and I've never heard of a service that does that. I had anything of value locked away, water shut off, and power shut off. Update 2. After speaking with Navy Legal, they're confident this will all get cleared up. They're going to write a formal letter on my behalf stating the situation and some other legal stuff that's over my head. Update 3. Turns out that was enough to take care of the problem. The fine was canceled, and they promised to find the snake that set me up. Boats don't get dropped off to random houses very often. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.